Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
When I think of those East End lights, muggy nights, the curtains drawn in the little room downstairs. Prima donna, Lord, you really should have been there, sitting like a princess perched in her electric chair. And it's one more beer and I don't hear you anymore. We've all gone crazy lately. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg. You know we're like Einstein over here, man. We have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men. How in the hell did we get here? And where is it that we want to go? Like that song says, and someone saved my life tonight. Of course, old Elton John was in torture, tumult, turmoil, because he was debating his own sexuality. Does he go with a woman? Does he go with the other? He didn't know what to do. But we're all in contention and debating and struggling with the American psyche. Us good listeners on this show, we know what it should be. We know what it is. And that's why no matter how many times you indict President Trump, no matter what you attempt to say or do, we're still going to vote for him. That's why after that verdict came out at approximately 1700 hours Eastern Standard Time, from then until noon the next morning through grassroots donations, of course he had some big checks cut to him. Dude raised $35 million. What does that tell you? It tells you that the American people want someone to save their life tonight. We've all gone crazy lately, and we're fed up. We are fed up. Just like Paul said to the Philippians, we want this suffering to end, but you know what? We are willing to go through it. We are willing to go through it because the real quality of a Christian is not seen when times are ideal, rather than when the going is rough. That is when a person's true character is revealed. It's the same for the American people. Specifically, what did Paul say in Philippians 1, verses 27 through 30? Whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. And whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in the one Spirit. You got that, David Covey? God's Holy Spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. And in today's day and age, the numbers are many. In fact, if your message is anything contrary to the narrative they want to put out there, you will be opposed. And when you comport yourself in that way, the reason they will come after you even more is because, what does Paul say? He says, this is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, but that you will be saved. And that by God. That's something that you can hold on to, man, in your afflictions. And ultimately, that is why they have gone after President Trump. I did a bit of a synopsis in Hypocrisy and Fear yesterday. It came out late because I was inordinately busy. I wasn't expecting that verdict. It kind of took me by surprise, and I want to give it its just due. So we went back through it and said, here is why they are afraid of this man. But we are looking for a deliverer. and we know we have an eternal one in Christ. But right now we are afflicted as a nation. We are afflicted. We are looking for someone to save our life tonight. Why? You've heard the term, and even all the legal experts, even liberal ones at that, said that was a kangaroo court presided over a man, Judge Mershon, a known and demonstrable Biden supporter whose daughter makes millions working with Chuck Schumer. There was no way he was going to be found to be not guilty. Moreover, that never would have went to trial anywhere else. But they did what they needed to do. And so we know the system is rigged. We're trying to level up our playing field. Did you know that horse's ass, donkey behind looking woman, Maxine Waters, the old school racist who looks like, yes, a horse's behind with a black wig on top of it, has said she would like the next Supreme Court justice to be an illegal immigrant. Where is the judicial know-how? Where are the clerkships, the courtships, the legal body of work? I guess now in this new banana republic, if you break the law, if you're really good at breaking the law and taking from this country, then you should preside over the law and then dispense justice to the people who have tried to keep the law, right? Yeah, we've got great judges up there now. If you're a Democrat, my goodness, we can take your multiple felonies and we can reduce them down to one misdemeanor. But if you're a Republican with one misdemeanor, we can give you about 10 felonies, can't we? The state of affairs is whacked. And you know, I was debating with a friend of mine. He's like, Eric, did you know that you're wrong about all this foreign aid, by the way? He goes, you can easily Google this stuff, look it up, and we know exactly how much money the government allocates for this, what is in the budgetary expenditures every year, what we dole out to each nation specifically. I said, listen here, you effing fool. I said, does Bank of America know how much money you have in your piggy bank? Do they custody that money for you, fool? Now, I'm not going to get into specifics with this guy. He's going to go flap his trap. And this is really sensitive stuff. And if the government knows that we know how they truly operate, well, that kind of puts you in a bit of trouble. But I just simply said to him, because granted, my son and I, from time to time, we will cull our piggy bank. And we have this huge medieval ball that is open at the top, and we just throw all of our change in there. One time we cashed it in for $300+. One time we got close to $600, and we have even more in there than now. You don't think that the government wouldn't like to tax that money and take it from you? Yet none of that money is accounted for by any banking institution, right? And they certainly aren't safeguarding it for you. So are you telling me that our United States government doesn't have multiple coffee cans full of money placed all over the world? Well, of course they do. What happens when this nation engages in products, the cultivation and or the sale of illegal things that one scintilla of would get you locked away in prison for 10 years? But what if they derive proceeds from that all over the world? Afghanistan's booming. Hell yeah, the Chinese are in there making money off poppy now. What do you think Iran-Contra was all about? That's one instance. Iran's bad. Weren't we giving them weapons? Okay. So really you just don't know. I gave you an example about 3-4 weeks ago about all the kind of dated Soviet equipment that we purchased from Kazakhstan, a traditional Russian ally. What we want to use it for, who knows? But even Business Insider, A mainstream magazine said that that was funded by a United States offshore account. Do you think that if a person can incorporate that our government doesn't have that ability en masse? I told this dude, stop kidding yourself, man. Did you know that arms and funds are still going into Ukraine that were not allocated in this last expenditure of 61 billion bucks? We have many circuitous routes by which to get these thieves and then run it back to us, money and arms. In fact, there's shit above freighters, on freighters right now going through the English Channel that are then, once they're rail-headed up in England, are going to cross Europe and go to Ukraine. No one knows a damn thing about it. No one really knows what's going on. We're just trying to shed light on that. That's all we're doing over here. But take heart. Take heart. Our victory ultimately is assured. And like I have been mentioning, they know it too. And that is the reason why you are held in such contempt by your own leaders. And I'll tell you what. Here is what I am going to say about all this. Because that guilty verdict in the melee and now the liberal media, and really that's all media, is going to run with this ad nauseum for a very long period of time. So I needed to kind of halt normal programmatic themes, shows that I promised you. Just so we could touch upon this. We needed to allay our concerns and know that we will be victorious in the end. But just pontificate with me here. Kind of like the good old Pope, right? Global warming. We're going to pontificate here. In the last episode, Hypocrisy and Fear, I touched upon, and I've mentioned it many, many times, Trump received in 2020 72 million votes of the United States electorate's popular vote. That would have been more votes than ever in American electoral history. But we know that Joe Biden won, you see. Joe Biden, whereas I said Donald Trump got 10 million more than Barry in his second term, Joe Biden got 81 million and change, approximately 10 million more than Trump. The crazy thing is, no one goes to his rallies. At that time, he knew the fix was in. He never made it out of the basement. When he did, he couldn't figure out if he was going to put the COVID mask on, not put it on. Was Kamala going to be there? Was she laughing? We don't know. But what I do know, go out into this country, anywhere, walk around this country, tip to tip. Have you ever seen a pro-Biden, a President Biden hat? Have you ever seen a pro-Biden shirt? Have you ever seen a pro-Biden sign and or a flag? That is really odd to me that a man who garnered that much attention, that much support, does not have it demonstrated anywhere in the streets of America. Curious, huh? So here's what I'm going to say. F you liberal F-tards. We are all still voting for Trump. We are pledging to vote for this man again, no matter what you do to him, because we trust him more than any other politician ever. And the reason we trust him more than ever is because you do not. And that is also good enough. So before we exit, up until Sunday's broadcast, we needed to hammer this message home. We needed to hammer the message that we are united as a people in deposing this crooked government and the people and organizations behind it. And we will get back to our recurrent programmatic theme and all the great info that I wanted to bring you. But we had a news flash, just like when we used to watch the good old nightly news with Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw. So let's go out with a little ditty. And someone saved my life tonight, Sugar Bear. You almost had your hooks in me, didn't you, dear? You nearly had me roped and tied. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos